Welcome to Let's Talk Brock.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Let's Talk Brock podcast. Today we are joined by Tyler, a recent graduate from Brock's Sport Management program. Tyler truly took full advantage of his experiential learning opportunities that were provided to students. He was a member of the men's golf team, and he was an executive member of a student-run initiative that tackles social justice and diversity issues in the sporting industry. Thanks so much for joining us today, Tyler.
It is totally my pleasure, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's really nice to meet you. So we will jump right into the questions. We have a lot to talk about. And of course, we first have to ask you if you could jump back to the time where you were interested in picking a post-secondary institution. I would love to hear what made you choose Brock and more specifically, why sport management?
So why I chose Brock goes into the fact that hand in hand with sport management, I live just outside of Ottawa, and all throughout high school, a lot of my friends and people past high school students of my high school went to the University of Ottawa. I was kind of leaning that direction. And then a family friend of mine who studied at Laurentian Sport Administration program recommended to my parents that I'd look into the Brock Sport Management program. So I read not only about the Sudbury program, but Brock. And then after reading about it, I felt that program was kind of fitting for me. I have a tremendous passion for sports, for all sports. From a young age, I can only remember any type of experience that I had as a child were around sports. I watched sport a lot, played it, refereed it, anything that had to do with sport. I was somewhat involved in it. So it was only fitting that I started studying about it to a certain degree. So after applying, thankfully accepted, extremely proud of that kind of accomplishment. And then before making a decision, my parents and I took kind of the weekend to the spring open house. And as cheesy as it may sound, I believe I was on campus for maybe an hour. And I think I told my parents that this is where I'm coming. There was just any doubt in my mind that this place was right for me. I truly love the campus feel, the fact that it wasn't intertwined into a city. It had kind of a college American feel to it of you step foot onto campus, you're here for school purposes, activities, etc. And then the city is outside of it. I truly admired that part of the campus and everything about it. So from that point on, I made my decision. And now we fast forward just over 4 years from that spring open house. And I will never regret that decision of going to Brock. It was truly some of the best years of my life. Sad it's over, but I guess every good thing has to come to an end. So
yeah, absolutely. We have a very similar, I guess, start to the Brock journey. My decision to come to Brock actually came when I was on campus for the first time too. You just come on campus and you feel that community feel. That's how I describe it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I still love that about Brock today when we're on campus. It's great. I totally agree. In your fourth year of the sport management program, for anyone listening, students have a great opportunity to do an internship or a co-op or an experience learning opportunity in the real world to gain work experience in the sport industry, which is a fantastic opportunity. Could you maybe share with me what experiential learning opportunities looked like for you while you were a Badger?
So speaking to the internship, that was one selling point of the program for sure, to get 4 months of a working opportunity with somewhat of a sport business or agency, organization, anything that you can try and find that fits with your career goals was definitely a selling point for me. And then this past summer, so last summer actually, I took part in my internship program with a sport and entertainment agency. Although we were living in a pandemic where I was working by myself alone at home remotely, the experience to work with past Brock alum and other kind of industry professionals really opened my eyes to what the industry is like, certain skills that you need to apply to every day in order to succeed in an environment of the working world. At the end of the day, I find, and especially for you, we're at school for 4 years to try and learn as much as we can, and then we're just kind of thrown into the working world. There's no kind of preparation for that, and that internship was the closest thing to that. So truly enjoyed my opportunity with SBX Group. I recommend every student that take part of the sport management program to take on the internship. You learn so much, you meet so many people, that at the end of the day, I still keep tabs of people that I've done my internship with, and other opportunities are just going to come from that. So at the end of the day, I think it's a must for any, not only sport management students, but any student to have the opportunity to do a co-op or internship to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's one of the only times that you'll have kind of a preparation time in terms of stepping into the working world.
Yeah, for sure. I think you touched on something that's often overlooked, I think, with the experience learning opportunities. I think networking is a huge part of that. And that's something definitely that I've benefited from in concurrent education. Getting those relationships with those teachers and in your case, the professionals in that field really is valuable when it comes time to look ahead at postgraduate. It's really valuable. In the realm of sport and your experience specifically, you were a member of the men's golf team throughout your degree at Brock. Could you tell me a little bit about your experience as an athlete and a student? And also, if you have a favorite memory about that experience, I'd love to hear about it.
Okay. Well, first off, I had zero expectations coming to Brock. There was no recruiting process. I think there was just very open, especially the golf team, to let the athletes kind of show what their skills are, and in terms of kind of being open to everybody that has a chance to make the team. And I was lucky enough on my first year to play well enough in terms of at tryouts or even at early part of the year to get a chance. And again, for me, it was just a wonderful opportunity as a massive fan of golf to be able to compete at that level. In Canada, in terms of collegiate level, it was the highest level we could compete at. Got a chance to compete basically every day, every week in terms of like the fall season with not only my teammates, but with students from across the province. So for that, it was kind of just a bonus added on to my university experience and everything that came with being a Brock varsity athlete. The kind of treatment that we get from the entire department staff, the athletic staff, the facilities that we get to kind of work in, practice, etc. At the end of the day, the experience was far and beyond what I was expecting of a varsity athlete. So thankful for that. If I were to point out a special kind of moment, I would say probably one of the first overnight trips that we had in my second year. I think those are a lot of fun. It doesn't matter what sport you play. To spend time bonding with kind of your team was a ton of fun. It was a weekend in Waterloo, and the second day I played arguably one of the best rounds of golf I've ever played, and to be able to kind of compete at the highest level and be able to kind of play that well for 18 holes, keep the focus and kind of be a leader of kind of the Brock team for that day, I think something that I'll remember forever and that I still take with me sometimes, even now as I play casual golf, to realize that there's still some things that I take away, even that my competitive time with Brock are behind me now.
Awesome. Also, during your time at Brock, I understand you were an executive member and a founding member of SHEMA. For those of you listening, this is a student-run initiative that tackles social justice and diversity issues in the sport world, which is so great for the program that you were in and the path that you were trying to go down. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about this, more specifically, what was your role and what did you learn and take away from this?
Yeah, like for starters, kind of just sharing how the club came about. Hannah and Michaela, who were two of my classmates, decided on this initiative to start a little club that was different than the Brock Sport Management Council or the Brock Sport and Business Association. It was something to tackle those social issues and diversity that we see in the sport industry. We know that the sport industry has been dominated by male in the past, and it was something we were trying to change in the sport management program. A specific stat that really helped drive this initiative is that in the sport management program, I believe only 16% of the students are female. And for Hannah and Michaela, it was something that they really tried to push and change. So that came about, I would say, in January of 2020. And only a month and a half later, at the Alumni Day, we launched our club, showed it to the students for the first time, the alumni. And I think the Brock community really stood behind it in terms of as a good idea, a good opportunity to make change in the program, to educate students on the issues that you might not read about or might not know. And from that, my role came as helping Hannah and Michaela out from the operational side of a social platform. So if it was LinkedIn, using my network to grow our reach within the program and to alumni. I worked on our 1 year special 1 year anniversary video a few months back to help kind of grow what these last 12 months have been for our club. And although we have lived in a pandemic and nobody was on campus, it made it a little difficult for us to try and achieve the goals that we wanted to achieve as a club. But I still think that in a first year where we were kind of just everybody stuck at home, we saw growth within our program through some of our initiatives that we started in terms of a peer-to-peer partnership. So basically that is matching up a third or fourth year sport management student with a first year, second year sport management student and act as that in terms of a mentorship. So maybe as a first year, second year, I know for a fact that some questions I asked myself, but didn't have anybody to talk to. So to kind of give that opportunity to students to ask questions about the program, ask questions just about Brock in general, to have that kind of liaison in the upper years, I think was a great opportunity. Another initiative we grew was our town hall meetings, basically the opportunity for students to speak with teachers, professors, outside of the classroom environment, learn what their kind of goals have been, learn how the teachers have kind of grown in their careers. Again, creating that sense of inclusion and community, that it doesn't matter what your background is, what your sex is, what career goals do you have. At the end of the day, we're still students in one program trying to develop the best careers that we can and experience the best university experience that we can. So I think it's been a blast to be a part of this initiative. I am looking forward to see what they can grow beyond this year. I think the sky's the limit in terms of kind of, again, growing the initiative, helping students understand the issues that are revolving in sport and belong outside of what I did for the initiative. I also understand that as a white male, I'm part of the responsibility to drive that movement forward. So that was something that really was eye-opening to me, and something that I'll take forth in my career, knowing the importance of these issues and how I can help, even though that I'm not the topic of conversation, I'm still part of the responsibility to kind of drive that movement forward.
That's great. So valuable, especially I would imagine as you move forward into your professional career, something really important and a lesson to take. Speaking of that current career and looking ahead in the future, what is your current career or educational path, if you wouldn't mind sharing, and how did you decide on that and get there?
So my current career path is slightly put on hold for now. I am going back to school in September. I'm taking a master's of human kinetics at the University of Ottawa, Concurrent in sport management. So I'm extremely excited for that journey. And that was basically decided pandemic driven in terms of the working world and how the job market has been stagnant over the last 12 months. But nonetheless, I'm excited to kind of go back to school, kind of grow my educational path, and meet new people. I think it's a big networking opportunity for me to work with other people from other universities than just the Brock Sport Management program. And from that, hoping to one day hop on a career path in the golf industry, on the sport marketing, sport sponsorship, and a sport event side. So that's where my passion lies. I'm excited to see what the future holds. But for now, we'll still enjoy our time as a student for at least a short time.
I think it's interesting that you said your path kind of pivoted and shifted a little bit because of the pandemic. I think that's something that a lot of people are experiencing right now. So it's great that you're able to make good advantage of that and continue with your educational journey. That's awesome. To conclude, I would love to hear if you had one opportunity that you had while studying at Brock that you didn't think was possible in high school that you really think you benefited from.
If it's okay, I'll share two of them.
Yeah.
One on the athletic side. one thing that I never thought would be able to compete at the university level. I grew up in a small high school where, like a lot of athletes, have the chance to play multiple sports, and I had the chance to do that. So for me to think that I was able to compete at the university level is not something I thought that was going to happen. And 4 years later, the experiences that I had, the people that I've met, the coaches that that have helped me grow at Brock have really kind of made that experience even more valuable. And then from a school side of things, again, I was tremendously involved with my high school from a student council side of things, and never thought I had the chance to do that at university. I think there's a misconception of thinking the university is too big to maybe get involved sometimes. So again, getting to university, I didn't think it was something that was possible to get involved with the sport management department, things like alumni day, or just being able to kind of speak to your professors, have a relationship with your professors. Again, that's not something that I thought was possible, but knowing now that it is truly possible to get involved, to meet your professors, talk to your professors, sometimes it's not what they make it seem in high school, and I think that that's something I quickly learned, and I'm glad I learned quickly, because some of the professors I still talk to on a regular basis and truly have helped me through decisions of going to school, or even interview questions, things like that have really kind of helped me grow as a person, grow as a student, and I'm very thankful for it.
That's awesome. I think I totally agree with that. I think coming into university, you imagine it to be this big, kind of distant, kind of maybe overwhelming place. Yeah. And I think something for anybody listening, most programs, if not all, have some kind of student council or student representative that you can absolutely be a part of. And they're great leadership opportunities. So I'm really glad that you had that experience. Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us. I was so happy to sit down and talk with you about your experience. It was great to hear all of your amazing opportunities. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. It is definitely my pleasure, and I will definitely remember these last 4 years at Brock, so this is no reason at all to speak about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, you can contact us by email at futurestudent@brocku.ca.